everybody, I am Heather Markel and welcome to another episode of the Inspired Nomads. This is the show for those of you that are mid-career and you have maybe 15 to 25 years left in your working career. You're thinking you could stick it out, but there's just this unnerving feeling that you have that there's something waiting for you. You want to go and pursue a passion. You want to travel the world, whatever it might be. But you've got a lot of concerns that are logical about whether you can really take off and do it. So this is the show where I talk to other people like myself who have flown the coop and are pursuing their passion. Many of us living in other parts of the world, some of us fully having a nomadic lifestyle, traveling the world, and we are living our passion every day. And I'm hoping that this show helps you to be inspired to follow your own. So today I'm very excited to have a really great guest, Marilyn with A Soul Awakening. She is an Australian expat who has moved to Greece. So Marilyn, welcome to the show first off. Tell us a little bit more about you, where you're from, and what led you to make this amazing move.
Hi, and thank you, Heather. As Heather has said, I'm an Australian, and 4 or 5 years ago now, I was doing different things in my home country, and something was sparking inside to encourage me to make a next step in my life. And the career I had was changing. My whole focus around what I was doing was changing, and I decided that I would take a leap of faith and trust that the net would appear, so to speak. And I found myself in Crete, which is the largest of the Greek islands, on a temporary holiday, 4-month holiday, if that's temporary. However, a very short period of time later, I'd been back and forth across the hemispheres, and 3 times, I think it was, and I ended up finding myself living here in a more permanent capacity. So leaving behind a very solid career as a former HR professional on a very good income and very good practices as to who I was, where I was, and what I was required to do. However, as I'm saying, there was some things moving inside me that was asking me to let that all go and to have trust in that I would be able to pursue something that was really dear to my heart. And in actual fact, that dear to my heart is well and truly as a traveller, but I've also had an extreme fascination with astrology. As a younger child, I was very, very fascinated by the movements of the moon. And around probably about 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I have to think of timelines, when did that passion really start to bubble underneath me? And so 4 or 5 years ago now, I made the big decision to pull away from a HR career and pursue my passions for learning more about astrology. And then I undertook formal qualifications to gain my qualifications and also credibility in that space, and found myself living and breathing in this place called Greece, which is the very foundations of a lot of modern day Western astrology. And it's pretty exciting, though. It was quite an insightful decision to just follow my heart, to lead and just listen. I'm a firm believer in that listening to what your intuition is telling you is really important. So I had spent the first 4 months here in Greece setting up all the back-end work of my website, of the programs that I offer, anticipating that I'd return to Australia to be able to run those programs in Australia and New Zealand, only to find that when I returned the first time, I just didn't feel right. Something just was saying, you must go back. And so I had a long chat to myself and decided that, okay, I would honour the voice inside me that was saying it's okay to just let go and just move back to the other side of the world and see how things unfolded. Being here is an incredible experience, being in a completely different culture to anything I'm familiar with. However, there's also Europe sitting on this side of the world for me. And I have been travelling the world since my 20s, and that's some time ago. And this side of the world had always been just a little bit too far for an Australian to travel every 6 months as you're working through your working life, per se. So now I have Europe at my doorstep, and I have been to 5, 6 countries and equally that many Greek islands in the last 4 years. They've just been right there. Like an hour's flight compared to a 26-hour flight. It's really nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very grateful that I have that aspect of my location to embark and learn more of the history, which I'm a serious history buff kind of a person. And every step I take, I learn more about the joinings and connections to how astrology has played different roles in different societies and different cultures, and particularly around the Mediterranean side of things. Has been where a lot of my learnings and enhanced my passions for learning more about astrology.
I love it. So going back to what you said when you started, you had this career as an HR manager with a good salary. So, you know, that would have put you on a great trajectory, I guess, to earn lots of money and retire and travel around. So why did you decide to leave that behind?
A number of different things were happening, and yes, as you said, I was actually in the HR world for 20 years, and I'd well and truly moved through the different tiers of being an introductory to HR right through to being a director of HR in one of my last jobs. But I always found that my roles in HR, what drove me were people. Interesting enough, people. And I found that I was very, very good, and I really had a desire to support and help people in understanding more about who they are and how they could transition through the different stages of their working lives. So coming with that kind of a background and that strength behind me, I was paid quite handsomely, in actual fact, and I was very grateful for that. However, I was always aware that that was a gift that I had, and that I should never ever lose sight of how I could support people in making those transitions. And so now I do the same type of work in a strange way. I just do it through a different lens, in actual fact, is how I view it. And you know, astrology is not for everybody, and I totally honor anybody's decision around that. So it doesn't come with the financial rewards that my HR career certainly came with, and it doesn't come with the same amount of comfort in that, yeah, that net is always there. You get up and you go to work. But truly, if I can support anybody in understanding that, you know, if this is what you want in your life, whatever that may be, then it's up to you to make the decision to trust and to have faith in your ability to know that, yeah, you're going to manifest your desires, you're going to manifest your wills, you're going to manifest your dreams, because this is what we're here to do, in my way of thinking.
Yeah.
So I was doing that for 20 years as a HR professional, supporting and encouraging people how to see where their skill sets lie, how to transition from one aspect of their working life to another one, or out of the system altogether, whatever it may have been. And it was during those probably last 4 or 5 years that I really saw the gift that I had. And I decided that, okay, I better do it for myself while I'm at it.
I love that. And so, you know, somebody watching or listening to this episode may be very much thinking, well, wow, this is exactly why I'm worried about quitting, is that, you know, I'm not going to have those same financial rewards if I go off on my own. So, you know, what happens to me? So can you say a little bit more about the experience of trusting and manifesting, or let's start there?
Well, happily, because in all honesty, I'm sure that anybody watching, and I certainly hope that the people who are watching have at some stage in their life recognized a point where there was a little bit of a crisis going on, in a crossroad, in a turning point. And they can happen at various stages throughout life. None of us are immune to any of those. And somehow, there is no miraculous cure as to how, but somehow we get through them. So it's learning to sincerely trust that we will come through these cycles. And if something I can offer anybody, and it's from an astrological perspective, is that all through life are cycles. Nothing stays the same. So we can never stay in the same point of discomfort or unease or uncertainty. And an extended and indefinite period of time, there is always a way for us to learn through what is taking place. And the big key word for me is to trust that I'm going to continue to see indications and guidance in day-to-day circumstances that say to me that, yeah, I'm on the right path. I'm doing what my heart wants to do. So I will continue to trust that, and I will be the first to say that, yeah, there's been some moments where people, Marilyn, really, do you think you can achieve that? Like, come on, let's be realistic here. But honestly, it happens. There's work involvement. Nothing falls in your lap. But you do your part in it, and you will get your rewards, and you will be living the life that you choose to live. And by no means am I suggesting that people want to be out there living and having multi-million-dollar lives or anything like that. But living a comfortable life that you are happy to have, to be a part of, to learn from, to, as Heather pointed out in the beginning of this meeting interview, that if you want to be traveling the world, travel the world. If you want to relocate to another part of the world, relocate to another part of the world. Because truly, anything is possible. And I sincerely feel that that's because nothing is impossible.
Do you have like a specific small example of something that you manifested that made you, that showed you that it happens to all of us, and you can believe it, and if it happened here, it'll happen again?
Yeah, I have many in actual fact, but one particular one, given that I've relocated to Greece and into Crete, on my return to Greece, after I'd been here for 4 months, I had my little chat to the universe, or whatever the guiding is that you go to, then have that chat. And I just said, if you truly want me to be living in Greece and in Crete, then you need to help me find a home. I will go there and I will choose them, but you must help me find them. And in all honesty, in less than 3 days of me being back in the country, 4 properties showed up. And so I checked all 4. And I resided in one of them for just over 2.5 years of the 4 years that I've been here.
Wow.
And every day I accepted that, okay, that was a pretty significant indication to say that I'm supposed to be here. And I'm happily being here, and I'm happily enjoying doing the work that I do. I learn more about the work that I do and the work that I offer every single day. And it's because of where I've chosen to find myself and accepted the choice to be here. Because yes, we all can turn around and say, no, I'm going to just stay back in my home country, or I'm going to continue to do what I do and have done because it's not really broken. I just feel more comfortable there. And I would challenge you, if that's your train of thought. In all sincerity, I would challenge anybody in a very gracious way to really listen to your heart as to what's going on, what you sincerely and truly want. And then we could just go from there.
Yeah. No, I love that, because I know that before I quit, I mean, I've always loved, astrology and the concept of manifesting, but I think, well, for me anyway, something shifted once I did. There's a difference to me in knowing what your heart wants and following it. So I find like when I stepped into actually doing the work that my heart was calling me to do, the manifesting just, before it was like, let me read this book. Okay, universe. It just seemed like work. and now it seems like, shoot, I really need a paper clip. And then like one shows up on the street. I've no joke, that actually happened to me. like the I have to be really mindful of what I'm thinking, because it happens so much that and it probably happened before too. Maybe I'm paying more attention to the results now, but I do find that manifesting gets more powerful when you're actually doing your heart's work, rather than thinking what life would be like if you did.
I think you have just well and truly hit the nail on the head, so to speak, Heather, that it really is being aware. Being mindful is a key. It's the words that we're saying to ourselves, the voices and the conversations that we're having with ourselves, and literally being very, very mindful about what it is you're wishing for. The simplicity of wishing to have a paperclip and suddenly, oh, they're okay. There it is, just over there. I just wasn't aware that I'd left them there or whatever it might be. But it's literally recognizing that, oh, okay, there's the paper clip. These little indicators continue to happen every single day, honestly. And the more we become aware of them, the more we become more mindful of them, the more that we get these little insights that, okay, I'm on the right path. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
Another little hurdle might show up, or a little crossroad might come here and there. It's all just a part of the learning journey in every aspect of it. That we live in, you know, I certainly did live in big cities in Australia at times, and you're running to catch a train, you're running to catch a bus, you're not really doing anything other than knowing that you have to be at work in 20 minutes or in an hour, whatever it might be. So that moment of thinking, you know, where's the paperclip? It just doesn't come into your head at all.
Right.
And so stepping out of the craziness, when you know in your heart that you're ready, then it's deeply important just to trust it.
Yeah, I love that.
Trust it.
So on the sort of scope of manifesting, I think one thing that, the main thing that we all worry about when we go pursue our passion or follow our heart is, well, where's the money going to come from? So what's been your experience with, you know, where money comes from? And I think probably creating a different relationship with money.
That's a wonderful question. Something that I continue to do and have done for many years, and it was a skill that I picked up as a HR professional when I was supporting people in career transitions. So, you know, I was one of those people for about 3 years of my working life in HR where I was brought into big organisations to actually downsize them. So I was one of those people who were rather less favourable to come in. Because, you know, I'm going to lose my job when she walks in the door. But seriously, one of the things that I found really, really beneficial for everybody, including myself, was to write down on 2 separate pieces of paper. On one side, the left side of this, oddly enough, is to write down anything that you really want to do. Interestingly, not a lot comes to mind in the first 5 or 10 minutes. So on the right-hand side of the piece of paper, write down everything that you won't do. That's simple. Your hand will just write and write and write and write and write and write and write. And then before you know it, the left hand starts saying 3 or 4 words. And you literally clear your mind of anything that just will not serve you, that you have no desire to be associated to. And truly, that page can become a second page. And you just push it out of the way, it goes. And therefore, the other pieces come in. And that's because you know in your heart that you've got that skill. And that skill is a sellable item. Whether you're in a working, going to work Monday to Friday, whatever it is, or you're choosing to be in your own business online, whatever we do in today's world, those skills are yours and they're your gifts to do something and somebody wants them.
I love it. Yeah.
Somebody out there will pay for them. They may not pay dearly for them like you did in a workforce, but they still want them. So it's learning to recognize that, yeah, you have something of worth to give, something to give to somebody else, to give to another group of people, to give to society at the end of the day.
And I love what you just said, learning you have something of worth, because I think we all are born with that core value. And ironically, when you work in corporate, you're not always aligned with your true value. It's actually when you're off doing your own thing that you get aligned with your core value. And then at that point, I think either you're living your life from that core value and offering it to the world. And for some of us, that may be through a corporate job. And that's great if you can come from that value place. And for others of us, it may be, you know, of service, using that value first to everybody. I love that.
It's a key fundamental in anything that I would support somebody else into understanding. That, like you just shared, that if somebody wants to stay in the corporate environment, they're going to be great in that space. The world needs policy designers, policy writers, people who research legislation, all those fundamentals that belong in a business context world, in a corporate environment. But the world also needs a lot of other people who don't have those skills and don't have those passions to put forward those skills. So tap into what is you, and appreciate it, honor it, and trust that when the time comes, just to step forward, step forward. Truly, we've got one life. Go and enjoy it. Do the best that you can with it, and enjoy it, really.
So I know that I think we're both quite happy in the current life that we're living at the moment. What do you feel is something you had to give up to be able to live the life you're living now?
Lots I gave up, and what we just discussed around the corporate environment, I came with a very, very strong understanding of corporate entities and how to work and within those systems. Stepping away from them was literally like taking off 4 or 5 layers of coats. They were like my safety measures. I knew how to work in that world. I knew very comfortably, fit like a hand in glove, but taking those off was just like, okay. Redesigning the way you choose to flow through a day, not being demanded by having to get up with an alarm clock. Oh, what a blissful experience. Don't know if the one thing I've graciously done is not have an alarm clock on for many years now. It's great. But it's learning those things, that they all have to be delayered. They all have to come off because they don't serve you in your choice of what you're choosing to do now. Because if you're traveling the world, then you don't have to have a corporate mindset. If you're choosing to be an online entrepreneur in various disciplines, then you need to have business acumen still, but you don't have to have a corporate acumen, do you?
Nope.
So it's literally taking off those layers that you acquired over an extended period of time, which served you for the time that they did, but they're no longer of benefit for you, and they do and can weigh you down. So delayering was an interesting personal challenge, in that happy to do it, but then I had to keep reminding myself, oh, okay, you don't really need that, do you? So you can let that go while you're at it.
Yeah.
Well, it became smaller suitcases, really.
That too, right? The other topic I'd love to focus on for a moment too is retirement, because one thing that we're trained to do when we are in the corporate world is save up for retirement. Mm-hmm. And now that we're in a different world, retirement sort of feels different. And I wonder how do you view retirement, saving for retirement? Are you worried about it? Because somebody watching this or listening may be thinking, well, oh my gosh, I might ruin my career, thinking they might actually think they want to go back to a career. Maybe, I know that might change in the process, but what about that money that we all are trained to create and save for later in life? What's that like for you now? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, another great question you're offering here. And so for anybody who's again listening and watching this thing, I don't know your personal circumstances or the societies of the countries that you come from, but as an Australian, and this was a major consideration for me, that back when I was in my 20s, Australia decided to do something and meant that anybody of my age group or the younger generation coming behind me, there would be no age pensions. They're just going to be obsolete.
Wow.
So somewhere inside this me, I just thought, okay, then I'm responsible for this, no problem. And so a safety net of financial wealth was being built, but at the end of the day, I realized that it was just sitting with a superannuation fund that could fall down any day. Like we've had GFCs in the last few years of different parts of the world, so it can be stripped away from you just that quickly. So for me, the whole concept and understanding of retirement changed back in a few years ago now, and then I thought, okay, and it's going to come back full circle to what we were discussing earlier, Heather, in that do what you love, be that. Have the passion that you have that will earn you an income, and learn to live within the means of that income. You don't have to worry about retirement, because there is no, for myself as an Australian, there is no age pension coming when I hit 60s or 65 or whatever the heck it might be for somebody in today's world. I will happily continue doing the work that I love to do, and that I'm finding a real joy in my own learning and being able to give back in that space. So retirement has changed dramatically quite some years ago for me. So I can appreciate many people who have this concern. What happens when my pension doesn't show up, or I didn't work long enough to get a pension, depending on the societies that you're from. But again, a system has encouraged us to think that way, whereas if we honour, and we've spoken about manifesting, if we bring forward what it is we're passionate about, it really becomes obsolete in a strange way. You continue to generate an income in a way that you have chosen to generate an income, rather than how a system has asked you to generate an income. So retirement becomes a much more enjoyable thing. Like, in all honesty, I'm not even sure retirement, the word, becomes irrelevant. Becomes relevant in any way. It's you'll continue to work until you don't want to, and it's not really work. You continue to enjoy what you do for however long you continue to enjoy it.
Well, and those are such good points, because I think I do think that in a corporate system mindset, we are all believing that at that point in the future, that money that we've worked so hard for will be there, number one. Number two, that our health will be good enough to enjoy that money that we've created, if it's even there. And I mean, we've seen so many stories, I know in the US anyway, of companies that, the retirement money that was there now isn't. So in a strange way, you're just making me realize that this changing of life and lifestyle, in a weird way, sort of sets us up to be more successful in retirement, because right, I think we're already kind of going with the flow and looking for completely different indicators of, oh my gosh, if this didn't go the way I thought, which happens to me all the time in the way I'm living my life, I'm learning and being trained that there's always another avenue, another route, another path. It may not be the one that I expected, but it's there. And weirdly, I'm not less happy generating less money. And I mean, if I compare my lifestyle now to the one I used to have in New York, where I'm currently at the moment, wow, it's a completely downgraded lifestyle, but I'm actually like way happier. So I don't get it.
How you're describing it is quintessentially, it is. There you go. It is because you are doing what you choose to do. And as I shared earlier, we each have a particular gift and skills that somebody somewhere wants. And the dynamics of where that is now, we don't go to an office environment. It's from a corporate perspective. We can do that from anywhere in the world. There are quite a few 100,000, no doubt. I don't know the statistics, but there are many, many, many people who are working online in one country for a country somewhere else. I personally have 2 or 3 friends in that space and they could be in the health sector, they could be in the education sector, they could be in the fashion industry sector. Like, it really is such a dynamic change and shifts on how we perceive. We continue to have to get up and go to work. As we live in an incredible 21st century age where we've got technology. Like, you're talking to a woman who's an Australian sitting in Greece, and you're a woman sitting in the US, and where we're sitting here, we're still having a chat. There you go. We can be anywhere in the world to do pretty much anything in the world. So, yeah, whoever's watching, I'm going to reiterate, so please trust that little voice, that intuition, that perception, that igniting inside you is real. And if you are open to to stepping forward, then trust that you will just enjoy the unfolding and the journey that's ahead of you. So please give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, as we were just talking, I just suddenly had this like little epiphany that we've always been taught that money doesn't buy happiness. And
Yeah.
actually it does. When I'm realizing when you change how you feel about money from money being to buy stuff to money actually being about happiness, you need less of it because happiness actually comes from inside anyway. And so, if you can allow that money to follow the flow of your happiness, I mean, then actually it does buy happiness.
There is no magical there is no magical ingredient in that other than you, each and every one of us. It comes from my perception, and I do sincerely honor people who have their own understanding of where their guides are coming from, but the universe really does provide, and so trust that. It's just like, okay, I'm not going to abuse it. I'm not going to expect it or have any essence of expectations. Like, yeah, okay, I'm still doing my work, and both my work on me and my work that I provide and support others with. But yeah, the universe will always be there. It's not going to move. It's not going to go anywhere. So whoever it is your guides are, people who are listening, then trust them. Like, this is where you go to it. Go to it. Then what? However definition you give it, but and yeah, it will keep you through. It will take you through. And when we do hit some of these crossroads changes, they're just part of the journey as well. We come out the other end. We really do. It's a number of years in a corporate environment or in a city environment, and I respect many people who love living in cities. But yeah, it's quite a shift. It's quite a shift and a big change to do something that you never believed that you were capable of or was within your reach.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yes.
It really is.
So Marilyn, you've already given so many amazing insights and tips, but is there any last one you'd like to give before we wrap up?
As I've said, people who are listening, please honor you and trust your intuition, trust your heart, and listen. Please listen. And thank you for listening with us.
Thank you, Marilyn, for being here. This was I love this. I think we kind of went in a lot of different directions than some of my previous interviews, so I really enjoyed the conversation. And for those who are here, can you share with us, so maybe somebody listening would like to get in touch with you, learn more about the work you do, how would they get in touch with you?
Thank you. As Heather shared earlier in this interview, my name is Marilyn, clearly, and my business name is A Soul Awakening. Now that's your soul, okay? It's not solo, a traveler, it's A Soul Awakening. So you'll find me online. I'm an Australian, so I come with a .com.au, and you'll also find me on social media as either a Soul Awakening or another arm of my business, being the fun traveler that I enjoy being, is Soul Women Travelers. So they're the two avenues that you'll find me. If you'd like to reach out, I would love to connect.
Great. And Soul Women Travelers, also SOUL, like the soul within us?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's it. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, Marilyn, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. This has been a wonderful interview. And if you are listening and you're thinking you should be a future guest on the show or know somebody else who should be, please fill out a questionnaire at www.interviewquestionnaire.com. And you can follow the Inspired Nomads on Facebook in our Facebook group, the Inspired Nomads. And you can also contact me and ask me any questions or share any feedback you'd like by emailing me at heather@heathermarkel.com. So once again, this has been another excellent episode of the Inspired Nomads. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you on the next episode. Bye-bye.